the truth. In the sleepy rural town of Ference, Pennsylvania lurks a dark, terrifying secret. Evil creatures known as planewalkers that appear as ordinary people but feast on the flesh of the living. 16-year-old Aubrey Collins must unravel the mystery of these creatures and protect her family as the planewalkers threaten her school, her town, and her life. The bone-chilling, riveting first novel in the Planewalker series is here. Seer, the debut novel by E.C. Larson, available for purchase now on eclarsonbooks.com and Amazon.
Hey there, this is John from Pint Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pint Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as...
Filthy.
Okay.
Reprehensible?
Crude?
Sure.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
You came for Pint of Comics. You've arrived at Scary Larry's House of Universal Horrors.
Anxanamen. My love has lasted longer than the temples of our gods. No man ever suffered as I did for you. But the rest you may not know. Not until you're about to pass through the great night of terror and triumph. Until you are ready to face moments of horror for an eternity of love.
5 seconds of silence. 5 seconds of silence. All right. We're going to keep that in there. Pint of Comics back at you one more time. As you heard in the intro, Scary Larry's House of Universal Horrors is back for the 3rd episode of an 8-episode series. You got Lloyd, the Manster Green.
Hey, what's up?
Sir John Johnson.
Hi.
And Johnny Ganache.
Why?
Amenta. This is the episode we're going to always be able to say that we said our real names in it.
Oh.
You know?
Do we have to?
No. Everybody knows you're John Johnson.
Well, that's a whole nother story.
But most importantly, the Master of the Macabre. The Director of Doom. The Emperor of... fucking nothing good starts with E.
Nothing with E. Where'd you go with that for?
I don't
The
know.
Emperor of
Excellence.
Elephantitis.
Wow, that's not
Really?
where I was
The
going
Emperor
with
of
that.
Elephantitis.
You don't have that Johnny Dangerously problem, though, do you?
I'm not an animal. I'm
Hey, you know, before we get too far,
human being, right?
before we get too far into the next movie of Scary Larry's,
Yes.
and thank you for coming back, Larry.
Thank you.
You just mentioned the Elephant Man.
I did.
As a kid,
Yep.
being like 6 or 7 years old, catching bits of that on cable, that movie scared me more than almost anything as a kid. Because I should never again
because
it's
of
just,
a guy in a hood.
not just the hood. I'll always remember the scene where they strip him down and his back is really mute, like
Where the medical at the...
all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I just remember it being something that I probably should not have gotten access to, and just being and the hood too, the whole thing.
You know what? I don't know if it scared me so much as bothered me. The scene that bothered me when I was a kid, because it was the same thing. It was like always on.
Yeah.
It was like always on HBO when you were a kid.
Oh,
And it was the scene where he was, he was all hooked up in Anthony Hopkins Hospital there, and he was doing well. But his old owner found out where he was, and they got in there and they were like pouring alcohol on him and stuff, and then just took him away and locked him in that cage
blocked it
again.
out.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad
There's some
movie.
pretty brutal scenes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lloyd, have you ever seen it?
I have seen it. It's just like Larry said, it used to be on HBO
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I really don't remember much from
Yeah,
it.
it's one of those movies that
Word is, and of course I never saw it, but the Broadway play of The Elephant Man, when David Bowie played him, apparently with no makeup, but just contorted his body in such a
see
way
that.
that he made it as believable
Right.
who was that? John Hurt?
John
Hurt.
Yeah. They said it made it as believable. Him playing the role with no makeup on, just acting and contorting his body.
Because that is truly a role where you cannot, like, if they didn't tell you that was John Hurt, you would never figure that out.
No, definitely not.
You know, there's been roles like that throughout. Remember, the one I always think about, and I think they didn't credit him either, Hannibal. Remember Gary Oldman played the victim of Hannibal? That was the rich guy that had the pigs.
Mason Verger.
But you remember, like, if you...
Involved is what you are. In all of it.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
That's what he sounded like.
Yeah, he is fucked up. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if you would never be able to choose or pick that out as being Gary Oldman.
No, I remember not knowing until
I like when they do
credits.
that. Yeah.
I never saw Hannibal.
You never saw Hannibal?
It was good. I mean,
I did like it.
It didn't have the personality of Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, that's not selling me.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, I'm not trying to sell. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. It's not as good as Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
That's not selling me.
I'm not trying to say. Listen, I'm not fucking telling you have to watch it.
Well, this is why I've never watched it.
I'm not giving you homework.
There's a liar.
I'm just saying it wasn't as good as Silence.
We usually get homework here.
I was not a fan of Silence of the Lambs.
I didn't know we were going there.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't like Silence of the Lambs.
I was not a fan. No.
Wow.
That's
We're not going there.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh,
did you know George Romero was in that movie?
Was he?
No.
Yes. Do you remember the scene where Hannibal's in the fucking cage before he kills the two cops?
When he throws
One of which was Charles Napier.
Yes.
Yes, right.
When Clarice comes in, she sneaks in to try to talk to him. And she's like, come on, just tell me who he is. Finally, they realize that Clarice had snuck in. So the FBI agents come in and they're like, all right, Clarice, get out of there. One of them is George Romero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As old as that movie is, I didn't pick up on that until about 6 months ago. That's another one of those movies I will leave on no matter what part
it's a great
on.
movie.
Now I'm going to blame George Romero for not getting her killed in that
I'm
movie.
watching this scene and I'm like, holy fuck, I think that was George Romero. And I rewind and pause. I'm like, that's fucking George Romero. Hutton, come in the room. That's George Romero. She's like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, but it's George Romero. And then, of course, I was like, hold on, I got to Google this. And sure enough, he just happened to be in the area and was friends with the director. Director's like, hey, yeah, come in and do this little role. You'd be an FBI
That's cool.
agent.
That's cool.
Ted Levine is still a goal of mine to get on the Pint of Comics radio show.
Is this just a ruse? Is this a false fact?
It's a Larry's false fact.
It is not Larry's false fact of the night.
Larry's false fact
I will
of the
slide.
night.
I will slide one in later.
I was going to say, you're going real deep with this one.
Larry's false fact of the night, brought to you by Bromide.
So masculine.
by Blammo.
The only actual
James Whale's coming back.
the only actual cameo that I actually know about in Silence of the Lambs is a strange one. It's Chris Isaac, the Wicked game singer.
Yes,
is
that's
one
right.
of the cops.
Yep.
Which I find really weird because they always mention that, and I don't know if he was he even popular at that point, or was he just an actor and then became popular? I wanna fall in love.
I'm not going there.
What's this episode about?
Oh, this is Scary Larry's House of Universal Horror, number 3, and we are talking all about the 19... Oh, there he is.
There he is.
That is George Romero.
Oh,
The 1932...
showing a picture of Chris Isaac.
The third movie in the sequence, 1932. So now we're out of 31.
Yay.
Right?
Yay.
All right.
Moving on.
Do the Charleston. Da-da-da-da-da. We're heading 1932, and we are talking all about the movie that my mother always said when I was a kid was, to her, the scariest movie monster of all time.
She was wrong.
She is wrong. And I actually can't wait to talk to my mom about this after watching this movie, The Mummy. Right?
There was literally nothing scary about the movie.
There pretty much is nothing scary about this movie.
I disagree.
There are a couple of moments where you
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Famously remade with Tom Cruise a couple years ago.
Whoa!
I know. I'm
Not
skipping.
even
I'm
famously.
skipping. I'm skipping. We got some good ones though in the late '90s with
Faux
Brendan
famously.
Fraser.
There's a faux. Right there.
Yeah, that was a false fact.
Yeah, that's.
I will fully admit though, I did watch that movie and it was not as bad as everybody said. It
Which,
was not
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it was not good, but it was it was not.
It wasn't a mummy movie.
You're right, but it wasn't. It was one of those movies I think that just it got more bad word of mouth. Because when I watched it, I went, okay, that wasn't good. I wouldn't watch it again, but it wasn't like super bad level of horrible.
I love Superbad.
Did you see it?
Superbad?
No.
I did not. No.
Don't send me down that rabbit hole.
Does he not like Superbad?
He doesn't like anything.
What are we even doing here?
Hi, it's Christmas, and I'm a naked girl, and I want to give you gifts, and I want to show you my body, and I'm beautiful.
I hate that.
You know what I'd rather
Don't
do?
give me a fucking gift.
Don't give me
Also,
a gift.
Superbad, perfectly titled movie.
He's grouchy Smurf.
He is a grouchy Smurf.
Goddamn right I am.
So we got a couple.
La 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 la.
Oh, don't do that. That's where I punch you. All right, so we do have some factoids about the Mummy before we get into it. Produced by our friend Carl Laemmle Jr. Carl Laemmle is still making movies in 1932. Wouldn't be lasting that much longer. Released on December 22nd, 1932. So pretty much a whole year after Frankenstein. So apparently this time they had kind of counted their beans and said, what are we going to do next? I will say you can kind of tell that there was a little bit more money.
Yep.
I don't want to say more money thrown in it because it's actually made for less than Frankenstein.
Right.
But the set design is actually pretty impressive in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This one was made, I think I said in the last episode, actually I can refer to it by my notes here, that
It was typed notes.
Frankenstein had a $291,000 budget. The Mummy had $196,000.
Wow.
Now, I will say this. I did have
impressive.
the box office for Frankenstein. I could not find box office numbers for The Mummy. So I don't know if it did better than Frankenstein or not. And by the fact that it was made for less, if it did, then obviously that's more of a profit for them.
It's impressive only because of the way the movie looked.
This is a good-looking movie. There is a lot of set work, a lot of makeup and costume.
I wonder, and I don't know the answer, if some of that money for Dracula Frankenstein, if they had to purchase rights, because those were both published works.
Right.
But I don't think so. There was no trademark and copyright laws at that point.
Okay.
So public domain was basically it.
All right.
Unless it was owned by a family, like the Sherlock Holmes stuff was owned by a family.
Right.
So it's hard to get into that. And these things, Frankenstein was, 1830?
38, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Sherlock Holmes.
Dracula, I think they did pay for, but that's because it was adapted through the
play.
For the play.
Right.
which is a whole nother aspect of things.
But you mentioned Sherlock Holmes, which is funny because, like I was alluding to, there was no source material for this film. Like there was a source material for Dracula, obviously source material for Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Lemleys were like, all right, with all the Egyptian hysteria.
Yeah.
Just 10 years prior, they had discovered King Tut's
King Tut's
tomb. So it was hysteria.
Who was mentioned in the movie.
Egyptian hysteria was going on in America.
Yeah, huge.
So he told his people, find me something about a mummy. I need a mummy story. I need an Egyptian story. Find something.
Right.
They couldn't really find anything except for a story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle about a mummy called, I've got it in my notes, or I didn't write it down, either or. Ring of Thoth by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh, see, I didn't remember that at all. Cool.
Yeah, so they changed a lot. They've never really admitted that that's where they got it from, but it's well.
Stolen!
Yeah.
And then the Doyle family or estate never went after them.
No, because I guess they changed enough of it.
Yeah.
But that's where they got the story from, and then they hired somebody to actually. Oh, not even somebody. They've hired Balderson.
John Balderston, who had adapted the play of Frankenstein, which was then adapted by other people for a screenplay. He's the one that actually wrote the screenplay.
Right, and Balderson also, another reason why Laemmle wanted him for this, because Balderson was a journalist who had live covered the King Tut in 1922.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a newspaper journalist who had covered all the King Tut stuff.
Larry coming with the notes.
Yeah. Bam!
Bam!
I'm leaving now. I'm out.
I think at the last show when we broke the notes, I think you made fun of us. You were notes.
Yeah.
Why do these fuckers have notes?
Yeah, and I got no notes today.
Yeah, well, you have.
Well,
don't say
but no,
notes.
these are just.
That's a book. He's just working on a book.
He's just writing his book.
My notes are all in my head.
I didn't research the movie at all.
Yeah.
13 million Americans were unemployed in 1932. 10 cents a gallon for gasoline.
10 cents. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to pay 10 cents.
I want to know why gas went up 30 cents in the last 2 weeks. Explain me that.
Because it goes up all the time.
Yeah. Goes up all the time.
Well, not to I did want to, I wanted to bring up before we get back into the Mummy. We're talking about gas prices. One of the things I noticed when we were at the last Cult Classics, or two Cult Classics ago.
Yep.
For Christmas, you had Die Hard.
I did.
And there's a scene where Reginald Val Jensen is at a gas station, and I think remember we joked about it.
Oh, and he's buying the Twinkies.
Well, he's buying the Twinkies, but when he goes out to the car, they show the 1988 sign, and it's $1.08, I think it was.
Don't you? Do you always do that? Because I always do
I
that.
look at
Whenever
that
I
stuff,
see a gas light, I'm always like, "What the fuck was gas back then?"
Yeah.
And I get all mad. I get all angry. I'm like, "Oh, fucking 45 cents."
$1.08, and then also
a few years ago, I worked in a place in Middlefield, Connecticut, and there was a gas station that was out of business, and they had left the sign up with the price of gas on the sign. And I would drive by it every day, wanting to stop there and get gas because it was like $1.20 per gallon.
Oh, wow.
And it was there forever.
Jesus Christ,
It might still be there, but I don't know.
$1.20.
Let's all go get gas. Let's leave right now.
Yeah, let's go
to
fill
Middletown
up.
get some gas.
You know,
Drain
there's
those
probably
gas tanks that are still there.
I was gonna say
on
there's
the
probably
ground.
still some tanks down there in the ground. That's a good start to a horror movie. It was directed by there's life down in them tanks. I'm telling you. I want to play the grizzled old guy that knows. Don't go down in them tanks. I'm telling you, it's nothing but bad news. But the gas is so cheap.
You're all doomed.
You're all doomed.
Wow, the Lindbergh kidnapping was in 32 as well. I didn't
Look
know
at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
The fountain of knowledge here.
Yeah, look at you.
I'm going.
Who won the World Series in 32?
Oh, hang on, I'll look.
All right. The director of this one was a German. His name was Karl Freund.
Freund.
Now, here's what's interesting about Karl Freund.
Are you sure he was German and not Austrian?
Well, okay, I don't. Okay, you're right. I don't want to.
He was German.
He was German. Okay.
I'm just yanking you.
He was a known cinematographer. This is his first feature film
That he directed.
that he directed. Dracula, he was a cinematographer for.
Oh.
And this is crazy. Metropolis. The
Oh,
Fritz
no
Lang.
kidding.
Fritz Lang's Metropolis. The,
Now I know why he was German.
Yeah, exactly.
And not to really bring down the mood, but his wife died in the concentration camps.
Really?
Yes.
You know, pretty much you can never bring up concentration camps, Larry, without bringing the mood down.
Thanks a lot, Larry.
Like you could even say something really like
there was
really,
a carnival that day at the concentration.
Yeah,
That still doesn't
it
work.
doesn't matter what you could be like. You know what they did today? They really they painted the concentration camp like sky blue.
Yeah,
But,
but-
it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah, but
It's got those two words together. You're in trouble.
I guess he was able to get his daughter out of Nazi Germany.
Good.
Not his wife.
All right. Well,
Unfortunately, sorry, listeners.
well, hey, we're gonna bounce back from that.
Yeah, it gets much better. Trust me.
It does get much better. Let's talk about.
Right now we're despondent, but we will. we will.
We will rise.
Little Richard was born in 1932.
Nice.
Wow.
I didn't.
Or should I say, woo?
Good golly, Miss Molly.
Wow, he shares a birthday with Donald Rumsfeld and Ted Kennedy.
Huh.
You're really,
Moving on.
I was gonna say you're really balls deep in this 1932 stuff. You still haven't told us who won the World Series, though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And how can
That's
you
right. I was looking up for that.
The Chicago Barbecue Sox. I want to know what old timey team won that year.
the barbecue socks? They were a favorite for a long
The
time.
barbecue set. Okay.
The Milwaukee Rusty Forks.
Oh boy.
He got traded from the Rusty Forks over to the Pelicans. I say the Pelicans
Stop
of San
derailing
Diego.
me from the Mummy for crying out loud.
All right.
right.
Let me give you. Let's go over the cast real quick.
Yep.
First listed on the cast, as opposed to being listed as a question mark in Frankenstein, we've got Boris Karloff
In
as,
large letters.
In large letters, yeah.
Oh, this time, yeah.
As Imhotep, and I do want to mention this as well. And he plays Imhotep, who also goes by the name. What is it, Lloyd?
Ardeth Bay.
Ardeth Bay.
Spell it.
A-R-D.
No, you didn't.
No, okay.
I'm kidding.
All right, Ardeth Bay. I did want to bring this up. I don't know if this is still the case. It was on IMDb, so it could have been beaten at this point. But in auction, the poster for The Mummy went for the most amount of money any poster's ever gone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like $498,000 or something.
Why?
It was because it's
Collectors, man.
collectors.
Well,
man.
I know that, but
Original one sheet.
is it any more rare than anything else?
I didn't. It only had that one blurb, and I
probably
didn't
a
really.
rarity thing.
It might be a rarity.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I went 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, with my wife and a couple friends up to, fucking Salem, Massachusetts, to the Peabody Museum up there, and we saw Kirk Hammett's collection.
Kirk's got a shitload.
Awesome.
I meant to bring up Larry Elig in the earlier podcast for the Frankenstein episode.
Larry, yes.
Yeah, Larry Elig, who does these great busts of a lot of these particular characters from these movies that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Why he hasn't done one for our buddy who played Fritz and Renfield?
You're right.
Dwight
You're right.
Fry.
Dwight
Probably
Fry.
should.
Well, you've never seen Larry Elig's stuff. No.
Oh my God!
The next time we go to a con and we run into him, I'll get you one of the pamphlets.
Yeah.
you'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Really?
I think
Because
have you
they're
bought anything
very
or no?
affordable.
I have not.
You
No.
have not yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see some.
They're anywhere from $50 to $200.
Let's stop this shit right now and go find some. Let's go.
It's in a what is it, John? Brass or
It's
copper?
bronze,
right?
Cold cast bronze.
Cold cast bronze, and he does all the Universal stuff and all the Hammer stuff.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
And,
amazing thing.
He is incredible, and actually,
He's a hell of a guest on a radio show.
yeah, I missed that show, but I've talked to him right after I went and saw Kirk Hammett's thing, and it turns out that he's actually sold stuff to Kirk Hammett.
sure, yeah.
He's a collector as well.
Hammett has one of the largest horror collections in the world.
If it comes back and
He
you
has
get
a
a chance
book.
to
You
go,
ever seen his book?
I was gonna buy the book
Oh.
at the gift shop. It was like $60, and I was
not
like,
cheap.
I've got the $4 magnet on my fridge.
Christine has an autographed copy.
Okay.
They actually interviewed Kirk Hammett in person when he was putting the book out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
They got
awesome.
not only they get an autographed copy, but they got him to hold up a Horror News Network shirt for a picture.
Oh, cool.
Oh, excellent.
That's very cool.
1932 World Series champions,
San Francisco Giants.
New
No,
York Yankees,
New York Yankees, yeah, figures.
over the Chicago Cubs.
Chicago Cubs, the Chicago Rusty Forks. All right. So Boris Karloff played Imhotep. Zita Johann played Helen Grosvenor. Here's a little thing about Zita Johann and Carl Freund. They hated each other. I don't know if you read anything about this, but the director hated her, and she hated the director. She apparently did not want to be part of this movie, but she was a contract player, and she had, I guess, a movie left in her contract. She didn't get along with Freund. She didn't want to do the film, and she was kind of pushed into it because she still owed time. And he just apparently couldn't stand her. The whole time they just went back and forth during the making of this movie.
She was the only female lead. Is that
In this, she's the only female lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And-
her.
yeah.
Which is all right.
Yeah, I mean that I remember, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just because you say Helen Grosvenor and not the other name that she's playing.
Well, that's her character is named Helen,
Right.
But then, of course, through the plot, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
David Jesus,
David Jesus?
no,
David Manners,
David Manners, right? Okay,
Yep.
my handwriting was a little shitty there.
who was also Jonathan Harker in Dracula.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Hey,
here we are.
Universal's going to reuse everybody that they can.
I was gonna say I think I just liked him more in this.
Yeah, Harker was not good.
Harker
he
was
wasn't-
such a
Yeah,
Harker was such a John Zago pee.
Oh, you had to bring it up.
Yeah,
I've been drinking water all day.
yeah.
I'm gonna pee shame you all the time, motherfucker.
Beer all night.
It's not shaming when I have to go, and I can do it.
So David Manners
Yep.
played Frank Wemple.
Wemble.
Arthur Byron played Sir Joseph Wemple, and Edward Van Sloan.
There he is.
3 for 3.
This is the last time we'll see him as far as for
any of these movies.
For any of these movies, he doesn't come back until Dracula's daughter. Nope.
The Toilet of
Is it
Frankenstein.
Dracula's? You said the toilet. Dracula's daughter, 1936. That's when
Okay.
he comes back.
So he plays Dr. Mueller. He's kind of Dr. Mueller, if I remember correctly. He is kind of like the occultist almost, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not occultist, but he knows all of
The
the
Egyptian,
the Egyptian-
Egyptologist.
yes.
Is that a good
Egyptologist?
word?
Yeah, that is a good word.
Egyptologist?
That is a good word.
Maybe that might be
Egyptologist,
Larry's
yeah.
bullshit.
They
fact
mostly
of the
call him Miller in the movie.
Is it Miller?
Yeah, it's
All right. I wrote
spelled
Mueller.
with a U, but yeah, they keep calling
Call
him
him
Miller.
Budweiser.
So this movie opens up in 1921 at the very
Yes.
neatly signed British expedition.
19.
1921. Like they have it on a sign.
They
with
have
and
the
everything.
year on the sign.
And it's basically a couple of.
You forgot one of my favorite people from the
I only wrote 5.
from the cast list.
Who?
The Nubian. I knew you were going to say it.
the Nubian, and there's also Saxon Warrior.
Yes.
Did you read about that?
I did not read about Saxon Warrior, but I read about the Nubian.
There was a pretty long prologue filmed with Saxon warriors in it. It was supposed to be like in another time, and I don't remember if it was for budgetary reasons or if
Time.
the time or the test people, whoever. I'm sure there weren't test audiences, but maybe the people at the studio, they cut it out. But the guy who played Saxon Warrior ended up in the credit, even though there is no
Even though he's
Saxon
not in
Warrior.
there. The guy who played the Nubian was one of those guys back then who, anytime they needed a big scary guy, he was the guy. He was in King Kong.
But he was also
He was
not
in-
white.
He was in Most Dangerous Game. He actually was white.
Was he?
But he
They
played.
colored him?
He played black people. He played Indians. He
Is the
played
Nubian
everything.
the really kind of buff guy at the end?
Yes, that's
Oh,
the
okay,
Nubian.
yeah.
He was like
Huh.
6'2", which for back then was like a giant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
well, back then when you only lived to 26.
Right, right.
6'2" was really big.
But he did like anytime they needed a scary guy, for a movie. Like I said, King Kong, he was in. He was
Really?
in a ton of
I
stuff.
thought he looked a little.
Yeah.
What was the
Odd.
actor's name?
Mark Noble.
Mark Noble. Okay.
Mark Noble, Most Dangerous Game. There's a big fan
yeah,
of this movie.
yeah.
But anytime, the reason it shook me is because I saw the word Nubian.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are Kevin Smith fans, but anytime I see the word Nubian, I think of Chasing Amy. When
has been a while.
Do you remember the I can't remember the character's name, but the gay black dude who like wrote the very pro black
Yeah.
and he's talking at the Comic-Con, for everybody, and Brody is like standing up, like asking dumb questions, and finally he stands up and says, "Excuse me, what's a Nubian?"
Yeah.
And he just pulls out a fake gun and shoots him, and everybody abandons.
I do remember the character. Yeah.
So yeah, anytime I hear the word Nubian, that's what I think of. Anyway,
I think of wasn't there a rap group, the Brand Nubians?
Brand Nubians.
Yeah, I think of that.
yeah,
Okay.
All right, so the Nubian. Okay, I didn't realize that was the character's name.
yeah.
So we start off in
I'm the only one that knows what
1921.
it is.
Yeah, you know the real definition. Starts in 1921 at the British expedition, where they have just unearthed the mummy. Right,
The Mummy. Yep.
the only time in the goddamn movie we're going to actually see Boris Karloff in the actual mummy costume.
Which supposedly he was not happy with what's his name? Makeup
Pierce?
Man Pierce.
Jack Pierce?
I guess that was like a 4-hour.
Well, it looked like a
Makeup.
full body.
It looked great.
It was like dipped in some sort of an acid first.
Ouch.
Yeah, they said it like hurt and was bad, but thankfully, as we're about to talk about, he only had to wear it once.
Yeah, one time.
And the one time, honestly, it's a creepy scene.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
really evocative.
It's
scene.
a creepy scene, and I wanted to mention this, that if they had found a way to, I'm sure it wasn't that they couldn't get him in it. He was probably working elsewhere or whatever. But I thought this would have been the role for Dwight Fry, even if it was 5 minutes, as the guy,
play, yeah.
the guy who's laughing
Yeah.
hysterically when
I
he sees
thought
the
the
mummy.
exact same
I
thing.
thought that would have been Fry's role.
When he goes bonkers.
the bonkers
Yeah.
nutso guy
Yeah.
who
Who's told not to touch the casket.
Yeah, and he does
Yeah.
it anyway. Yeah.
And then he
First thing he does.
It's he's just like it's a fucking just to show you what horror movies are going to be for the next 100 years.
You're right.
That one guy
Yeah.
who
It's that
always
guy.
has to fuck with something. Whether it's Ash and Evil Dead with the fucking don't touch that book, don't read it. You fucking start reading it out loud.
I read the book.
No matter what,
That's
there's
right.
always that fucking
That's the
guy.
genesis of all that.
And that's where it started. I think that was probably the first
Yeah.
fucking dumb guy.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're like, don't fucking read the scroll.
And I love the fact that you've got the two older guys sitting outside talking about what they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Let's not touch this.
Yeah,
Let's
and
not
let's
touch
leave
that.
the other guy
they
in there.
give you all the exposition you need, all the story, all this beautiful backstory, and then you've got the nutcase that
Yeah.
I'm gonna read
I'm
it.
going to read this.
I liked
Blows the dust off the scroll and
I liked in that scene the way they shot it was when he opens it, they kind of you're expecting him to get killed.
yeah.
You're expecting the mummy to come behind him and start to choke him or do something to
Hey,
him.
he doesn't care about
And
him.
all you get is that great shot of the foot leaving
Yeah.
and the bandage
the
dragging
bandage
along.
dragging out, yeah.
And then him just going apeshit crazy.
I was like, a laughing fit's a weird way to deal with this.
It's totally weird.
situation.
but really
That's
believable.
called being snapped.
Yeah, I would have thrown
Yeah.
a vase at the back of the mummy's head or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Or
crazy.
just, or just grabbed that piece of fucking bandage and
just
let it unravel.
Done the unraveling thing.
What I really like though is that when you see Karloff as the mummy in the sarcophagus and he's all wrapped up. Oops, I'm bashing into the damn mic here. He's got the ring on his finger still.
Yes.
and no one says anything about the fact he's wearing that ring.
Right.
the whole time the mummy's there.
The scarab ring.
yeah. That beautiful ring that's just like staring right at the camera the whole time.
And what kills me is when they come in, right? They've got this mummy. They're hovering over it. They want to get into it. And there you got Mueller. I think it's Mueller or Miller at
Yeah,
that
Mueller,
time.
yeah.
He's at the table brushing off, some little coffee cup that they found. He
Yeah.
goes, no, we can't get to the mummy.
Yeah, well,
we got this
well-
little pottery piece because we found it first.
I thought it was
There's
weird.
a dead guy here.
We're
but-
busy right now.
I did like how they get into the whole description of the spells inside the coffin.
Being like a binding spell.
Yeah.
And
how
how
they
some of them are
scratched them out,
scratched
yeah.
off. Yeah, and there's more to that we'll get to later in the movie.
All right. So once we get through there, the mummy escapes. We time forward to what was it, Larry? Like 10 years? 10 years to 1931 or 32.
Don't gloss over the fact that this fucking mummy has been living amongst
Yeah,
everybody
for 10
years.
years.
10 years, yeah.
No big
And-
deal.
No.
No big, oh, look,
The
there goes
mummy
a guy
just
covered in fucking bandages.
One guy went nuts, and the mummy was stolen.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
And let's talk about the fact that mummy walked right through the room that the other two guys were in.
Right.
Nobody
What?
said
There's what?
anything.
What?
Fritz?
Nobody noticed.
Yeah.
There's a Johnny Quest episode with a mummy that I love absolutely. That just throws back to this so perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Scooby-Doo one, too.
But the next time we see the mummy is
10 years later.
10 years later.
And he's not looking so bandagey anymore.
No, he's a little weird in the face.
He looks. It
It looks like he had Elmer's glue in his face.
Super thin.
You know what it
too.
was? It was. They said
Spirit gum?
it was some kind of
Spirit gum.
cotton. They said that they had put cotton over his face and then like a layer of spirit gum.
Yep.
And they said that Boris Karloff hated this makeup more than Frankenstein's makeup. It wasn't as heavy.
Yep.
Because he's not in the giant shoes and all the lifts and all that
Right.
stuff. But he had to wear this all the time. The Frankenstein makeup was just like heavy, kind of like rubbery, putty makeup. This was like cotton and glue. And yeah, it's a weird look because it really just makes him look like kind of like a hungry old guy.
But it looked good. I mean, it didn't look didn't look pasty or cracked or anything. It was
did
beautiful
look
looking.
It did look good.
He's just creepy the whole time, you know. Just like sidles in. He's a sidler.
He is a sidler.
He's a sidler.
He could have given him some Tic Tacs.
He definitely sidles.
Right, but he didn't walk in backwards.
He did
No,
not
he
walk
didn't
in
do
backwards.
that.
He comes in,
Like
he
he did in
introduces himself.
Frankenstein.
He sidles into places where people don't expect him to be. Suddenly he's there.
He's there to show them where to dig.
Yep. He says, I am Ardeth Bey,
Ardeth
and
Bey.
I speak English.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am Egyptian and I speak total English.
I've been dead for 6,000 years, and I speak perfect English.
3,700. That was the actual number.
Oh, was it
I happen to remember
3,700?
that. 3,700 years. So
Maybe they. I don't know what the scratchings inside of sarcophagus were. Maybe it was English lessons.
Yeah,
There you go.
I have no idea.
I just got the newest. What is that called?
Rosetta Stone.
Rosetta Stone.
Yeah.
English for mummies. Boom! Great joke right there. English for mummies. All right, I'll be here all week.
Yeah.
That's what they would call a dad joke if I was a dad.
That's a dad.
So yeah, he comes. He introduces himself to the new explorers that are there 10 years later.
Yep.
And
That
he
was
basically
the,
tells
Speaking with
them
more
son of
continental
the
that
other
was
accent.
the
explorer.
son. That was Wempel's son and his partner.
Peyton Manning. Yeah.
Peyton.
Yeah, it looks like Peyton Manning.
He kind of did.
Just look a little
Peyton
bit
and
like
Eli.
They're dressed in the height of Egyptian fashion.
Oh,
like
yeah.
two white guys in like
Pith helmets and jodhpurs.
They've got their Banana Republic gear on up to their nipples. So he comes in and tells them, guys, I know where to dig. And he's got different reasons for why he wants.
Ardeth Bey.
Ardeth Bey.
I
know
can
where to
show
dig.
you where to go.
You got that down. He does. He has like a cross between an old guy and a ghost.
Oh
voice.
yeah, it's the whole Karloff thing here.
So Lloyd, what does he want to show them? Who does he want dug up? What's going on here?
Oh gosh, you want me to say her name?
Yeah, say her name.
Come
Let
on.
me see if I could do this.
Can you do it like him?
Anksasan Anan.
Unsex on and on. Unsex on and on. When he's chanting it over
I
and over
can't say
again.
it though. I keep saying
Anaxuna moon.
Anaxuna moon.
Wait, isn't that what does he say? Is it a knocks on the moon?
It is
It's
actually.
something
Oh,
like he
okay.
says
In
it
the Brendan
faster than me.
Fraser, it's a Nuxuna moon.
Yeah, and
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
what he's saying in that, well, that's how I'm hearing it in this movie. It's similar to what they're saying in the
Similar
Fragment.
but a little different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
And who is she?
She's the princess, his love,
His love, his long ago dead love,
long ago dead
His
love.
side piece, his little
Yeah,
something something.
his little something something.
yeah. He tried to. Well, I guess we learn this later. I don't know if you're gonna go into it now.
Yeah, go into it now.
Oh,
Yeah,
get in there.
He tried to raise her using the scroll of Thoth after she was buried, and he was discovered, and that was a big no-no.
Yeah, big no.
yeah.
So yeah, he was sentenced
Blasphemer.
to a live burial with the scroll.
That scene was terrifying.
Oh
by
no,
the way.
I
Yeah.
love the
Oh,
bit
yeah.
where he steals the scroll of Thoth and the statue comes alive.
yeah,
Yep.
The gods frown upon that.
yeah. That whole
Great,
scene.
great backstory stuff. I mean, the story for this movie is so thick. And
This
heavy.
movie,
Oh yeah,
this movie is a good movie with a good story. That is in no way, shape, or form a horror movie or a monster movie.
no.
right.
This is a love story
Great love story.
that has a supernatural element to it.
Right.
I don't think that discounts it from this series of movies. I think it still belongs there. but it is certainly, especially after kind of the heavier horror we got in Frankenstein.
Yeah.
This is
It's
definitely
totally different.
a totally different movie.
Can we agree though that Helen and Peyton Manning there fell in love very quickly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not just quickly, but
I would like to kiss you. I'm so in love now.
yeah.
You know, I dug up this dead princess and I fell in love with her.
There was that's a whole nother thing.
We
But
found this girl at the passed out in front of the library.
All right.
I think I'm going to kiss her.
and I want to say that you two guys
Yeah.
in the Frankenstein episode said that you thought this woman playing, what's her name? Helen. Okay. Helen. You found her fairly attractive for the time
When
period.
she has the wig on, I'd give it.
Oh, this Helen?
I dig
Yeah.
it.
Oh, definitely.
When she has the wig on,
found her creepy as all hell.
oh yeah.
She
Well,
was
that's part of it.
sorry.
She
that's
did
not,
not-
part of it.
she
not
didn't-
not gothy, creepy, cool.
Yeah.
Just fucking evil, weird, creepy. Don't
She
touch
didn't,
me.
she didn't come across as a nice person.
No, she
was
doesn't.
she's the first. I mean, we kind of mentioned this a
Right.
little bit in the
and
Frankenstein.
she's got a big head.
But she did have she had a great line.
She's
that
got.
I really
she's
Yeah,
got-
I know.
she's- Oh,
Do you know
which-
what-
no, what line?
No.
Do you have to open graves to find women
Yes.
to fall
Yeah.
in love with?
Yeah, that was great.
It's like,
I will
That was
admit,
the best line of
Yeah.
the movie.
What he's like nose to nose with her.
Yep.
And he's just like glomming onto her so badly, and she's like throwing him off so easily, which I thought was great. I mean, as an actress, she was fantastic.
She also is,
But-
the character is also the most totally cool with her dog dying ever.
Oh, right.
She's like, and
my
where's the
dog's
dog?
dead.
He's dead. No big deal. I had him
moving
since I
on.
was 7.
Oh, I know.
moving on.
That was a very
She's like, you should have seen the girl I just saw in the lake. Oh, sorry, that was Frankenstein.
You want to go back to when we actually meet her in the movie?
Oh, which time?
Yeah, the first
At
time.
the
the
party,
first
like outside of Cairo.
Ha 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 ha.
She was at the Cairo party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, that's when she gets...
All the white people
that's
talking
when the
about how they
chanting
miss the old
begins
Egypt.
and she goes into a trance and moves away from everybody and
Right.
hails a taxi.
Oh, you mean when she's dancing with the admiral?
Yes.
Or whatever he was.
And she has, and again, they kind of they go into this, but
I like how she's in a trance and she goes to get her
She goes to
stole.
coat check.
Yeah.
For her, it's not even a coat. It's just like a piece of a fur. I'm gonna need that.
Because it's Egypt.
Yeah.
You need a coat.
yeah. It gets chilly on those 109-degree days. Where's my mink
Oh
stole?
my god.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did it.
Now, wait. Now, tell me.
1931. Okay, 1 through 5, 1932 scale. What do you give her?
Her for...
Yeah, I give her a 4.
All right, so I want to just see though if you can see. I'm showing a picture of Zita Johann, right?
Yep,
That's
yep.
her name. Do you see this similarity?
Oh, yeah, look at that.
She looks exactly like Drew Barrymore.
Kind of
Barrymore.
ruined it for me there because I don't like
Really?
Drew Barrymore, but
Absolutely.
I see it a bit. Sure.
I think Drew Barrymore's head's smaller, but
Well,
Well, you don't like her head, do you?
I don't know, man.
she's got a big head.
Oh, yeah.
see
I like that.
I
Very
see the
cute.
Drew.
It's probably the wig half the time.
She's very
but-
cute, and again, as we talked about before, she's
Wait,
the
which
first.
one's the wig?
when she has the long hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
a wig.
No, the short hair is what I'm talking about.
No,
She
I like her
just-
with the long
no.
hair.
She looks like Drew
She
Barrymore.
also wears. There's one part where she also wears a gown during the towards the ending scenes. Yeah, that's my hounds going crazy in the back.
Pumpuses!
Towards the ending scenes, she's wearing a gown that is very kind of revealing from
Kind of
1930s.
revealing.
Oh no!
Like
Kind
Not,
of.
not just one.
Whole
Yeah,
underside of boob is hanging
Yeah,
out.
no, there's a
I'm like,
whole
hold
lot
on.
going
I'm
on.
like, wait, fucking stop the press is 1932.
Yeah.
Which is why
This
I
is
think
full underboob hanging out here.
He's nose to nose with her because he's looking down the front of her dress.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well,
just,
it's weird.
her.
It's weird that a year before they had to blank out the word God from Frankenstein,
right,
but you
well.
got Zita Johann's tits,
Right.
Like just
They're there.
all-
They're just out there.
all there.
But this is pre-code. There's
Yeah.
no, there was really no standards and practices.
But
There's
I
no-
want to know like how a year later when they get the movie back and like Lamely is like, just last year they wouldn't let us say God and Frankenstein, but this year we got titties on the screen.
basically.
Well, you know what it is.
we should have
sir?
made him bigger.
Sex versus blasphemy. It always wins.
That does. That was a lot of chest.
Yeah.
For 1932.
It was.
Yes,
it was.
No, it definitely was. That was
wasn't expecting.
no,
No, she-
no.
Yeah.
She wore it well. She was doing pretty good.
Yeah, she did it. She did her thing.
Well, you know, she didn't like director, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, she hated him. She absolutely. You got to read about that. She absolutely couldn't fucking stand the guy, and he couldn't stand her
Where
either.
did you find this?
IMDb. Just going through the trivia and
Oh,
stuff.
because that's just as good as Wikipedia.
No, IMDb is because IMDb is.
Oh, don't get going.
found
Get me started.
IMDb is curated by people in the movie industry. Wikipedia is you and me.
They also edit as much as they can possibly.
I'm going to
do.
go with IMDb as being an okay source. Lloyd could write a Wikipedia article.
It was.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
Lloyd, tonight when you go home, edit the Wikipedia article about the Smurfs and say that they started off as they were supposed to be purple. And it will be fact by tomorrow morning.
I can find you so many errors on that freaking website.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and say that they hated each other because I'm
That's
sure it was in
fine.
other
That's
places.
fine.
They couldn't stand each other. So
That's fine.
So she is now.
I was hoping for something better. Okay.
God. Yeah, I bought 3 books. I went to the library, got 3 books, read them back and forth on The Mummy. Watched The Mummy last night, which, by the way, I will say this. I fell asleep 3 times during this movie. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It's a slow burn at what, 65 minutes or 70 minutes?
70 minutes.
Yeah.
I got up once in the middle, and Lindsay said, you fell asleep for like 20 minutes. I rewound, I watched and got about 5 minutes past the part I fell asleep on, fell asleep again,
Yep.
woke up with the main title going on my DVD player,
oh, man.
and then had to find where I was again. So it took me 3 fucking, it was like I could have.
Welcome to what I do almost every movie.
Yeah.
So to break it down, Emotep, realizes that this is his girl. This is his girlfriend.
Yes.
And he starts calling her. He starts calling her from his. He's basically got like Dumbledore's pensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's like a hot tub that doubles as like Dumbledore's pensive. And she's like, so he's like looking into it and calling her, and she's just like, so she goes to him, and they, I don't know, it gets weird. It gets really.
Yeah, they
gets-
both
it
start
gets very
chanting
weird.
each
Yeah,
other's
they're
names.
she's chanting.
She's in
he's
the taxi.
chanting,
Oh, and that's where the archaeologist and the
Yes.
professor are like, she's speaking ancient Egyptian,
Yeah.
hasn't been
That's-
spoken in 4,000 years.
which is hysterical because
How would they
fucking
know?
Emotep is still speaking English.
right. Yeah. But how would they know that it's never been spoken in 4,000
Right.
years?
Right.
IMDb.
Yeah. They obviously
There you go.
beat it.
No, it's Wikipedia.
No doubt.
And this is also the first time we see any sort of dire things coming out of Ardeth Bay.
What
'Cause
happens?
well,
I'm
he's
gonna
she makes her way to the museum, and then they find her, and she's on the couch. And meanwhile, there's a
A
guard.
dead guard, yeah.
There's
Oh,
a guard,
right.
and you don't see it; it's off screen, but he kills him.
Is that where he's standing in front of the sarcophagus, just staring at it?
Yeah, and, does the guard want to get the scroll? Maybe
Who does he kill using the Force?
this guard is
the
the
guard
first
is
one.
using the
Yeah.
fez.
When
Yeah.
he does the Vader
Well,
choke on the
that's
guy?
the
Well, you don't actually
professor-
see it. This is the first time, and you don't actually see it happen.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't
But no,
think.
when he's doing that, that's when he's trying to kill
That was Mueller or whatever the fuck his name was.
whatever
That
his
was
name
Edward
is,
Van
yeah.
Sloan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he gives him the choke.
and,
out.
and he's doing the pulling at the collar,
Yeah.
having a heart attack thing, which
Yeah.
wow, that's overacting on the level of Pee Wee Herman in
Well, I think
sorry,
he was,
Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens.
Sorry,
I
Paul
think he was
Rubens.
squeezing his heart, right? Wasn't that what
Yeah,
he
Well,
was?
that's what
basically.
it's-
He
yeah.
was giving him a heart
But when
attack.
you're pulling at the collar, remember how it
Kalima.
was like
It's Kalima.
pulling at the collar was the way of I'm having a heart attack. I'm
Yeah.
pulling at the collar.
Well, that's
Oh,
a way to act and
That's in
tell these
Star
people
Wars.
from 1932.
In Star Wars, when Vader's
really
choking
we're
him,
into Star Wars.
I'm just saying when Vader's choking him out, he's pulling at his collar. This guy knows his collar isn't restricting anything. He's being choked by an invisible force. And he's like,
Because he's a British actor.
"Let him go, Vader."
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So
Anyway, Peter Cushing, who also played the Mummy
in the Hammer movie, right?
in one of them.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those either.
Oh,
so
that
maybe at
one's-
some point,
That one's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen any of those.
Scary
So
Larry's House of Hammer Horror coming up.
we should.
Oh,
You know the problem.
Shit, yeah.
But you know what the problem with those is
What?
is that there's not. We would need a definitive list of which ones to go through.
Well, yeah, no,
You know what I
you
mean?
pick 8 and then and
right,
then have fun
because
with
when
it.
I've been looking through them, it seems like there's the original ones, and then there's a ton of like Dracula is probably
there's tons of
great.
them.
Oh, then there's 14 Draculas
They did
after.
ridiculous sequels to everything, yeah. But
Right.
anyway,
Then they just started throwing half-naked girls in. Which
yeah,
is-
they were good.
which is good,
Dracula's
which is
Women.
good, which is
Yeah.
good.
Dracula's Women, 1971. That's great.
Yeah, I got no
Yeah,
problem
we'll get
with
in. We'll,
that. Naked chick.
we'll get into those.
That's,
All right,
that's
cool.
pseudo. It's like
So we're-
Skinamax. 1971 Skinamax. Look at that bush.
titties. All right.
Oh,
We were talking about the Mummy from 1932.
What are we talking about?
We're still on titties. All right. So Imhotep,
What's this?
I think this is where
we need to reset for a second. I'm not even going to try to talk right now. I'm going to edit all this out. Reset moment.
Oh my God!
Where are we at in the movie right now?
Where did we leave off?
We left off.
You were talking about. We were talking about
I don't even remember.
the hard crush. Yeah, the
this
crush
is
of the
when I
heart.
think Joseph Wimple, Mr. Whipple,
Mr. Whipple.
Mr. Whipple.
decides
Don't squeeze the Charmin.
realizes that there's what's going on. He starts suspecting Ardeth Bay.
No one's going to get that joke either.
I'm going to get us back on track here. So we were talking about him
We're never off track.
using the force to crush someone's heart, but he killed the guard, Lloyd, and this is the point where what is happening now?
Well, after he kills the guard, this is the point we already talked about, where Peyton Manning and the Lady Princess have their discussion about love and burials and stuff like that. But after that,
Imagine if it was Peyton Manning with his southern accent.
Hey, you know what I like a lot? I like throwing footballs. You know, I got a brother named Eli who's got autism but still won 2 Super Bowls.
My daddy was good too.
My daddy was good.
My daddy
and I'm
throw.
good in commercials.
You know what? We got a brother named Cooper. He sells insurance. Parents are real proud of him.
He's actually a better quarterback than my other
Yeah,
brother.
really.
That's what they both keep saying. Yeah. Anyway,
So now, actually, we get Joseph Whipple, the original Whipple, Mr.
OG
Whipple.
Whipple?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the OG Whipple.
Don't squeeze the Charmin.
He's in the picture now, and he's believing the curse that they read about 10 years ago.
Right. Well, he was one of the original. He was in the original.
He was in the original
1921
room.
prologue. Right.
And so now he realizes the curse has affected her, and most likely his son, too. He's all mixed up in it.
All right. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay.
I'm just wondering how many people are going to get the Mr. Whipple reference.
If they're our age, they will. If they're younger kids, they're not.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, Ardeth Bay is starting to realize that Peyton Manning's a problem.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so what does he do?
So this is where it gets real creepy. This is when Ardeth Bay comes into the museum,
Yep.
and he walks up on Helen.
Helen.
She's laying down, sleeping on a couch, and he walks
he just
right up and hovers over her.
sidles into
Yeah.
the room
Yeah.
and is like staring at
Yeah,
her.
and she wakes up and sees him there, but she's cool as a cat. I mean,
Yep.
she's not affected by it.
Here's
And,
this stranger.
and everybody comes into the room and is like completely like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
no big deal that you just wandered into
Right.
our house.
Yeah.
Just,
You know.
just
Well,
walk
Dracula
right
pulled
in.
that a lot too.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
remember.
You
Dracula
and your,
kept
you
popping
and your
in.
fucking fez just walked right into my fucking
Right.
house.
That's different though. When Dracula walks in, he's got that trans
The trance going on. Yeah.
trans stare.
Well, but he
here's
has a trance stare too, though.
He has a
got the
trans
glowing
stare,
eyes.
but he's
Glowing
also got
eyes.
like, "Don't touch me,
Yeah, I can't
don't touch me." Everyone that
Yeah,
tries
he
to shake
doesn't
his
like to
hand,
be
like,
touched. Yeah.
That's right. In the first scene in the movie where he tells him where to dig, the guy goes to shake his hand or touch him. He's
He
like,
looks like Stuart
I
from Mad
don't
TV.
like to be touched. Yeah.
And apparently don't like Jergens lotion either.
No, he's
well,
certainly
He's dry.
he's ashy. He's ashy as a motherfucker. All right. So at this point, is this when we go into the flashback and show how he
That's
was?
a long ass flashback.
It is
too.
a long flashback, but great sets.
It's fantastic.
When they drop back into where they show, I thought this scene was
It
great.
gives you all the backstory that
Right.
you need.
I think, yeah, the
it's
flashback is
heavy duty.
once the princess, they kind of figure out what's going on now. They need to stop it.
Well, what's
they
his-
realize they have to burn the scroll.
What's his name? Whipple and the
Yeah.
other guy. The two of them are like partners in this. And
Archie-
one-
Miller.
Archie
Miller.
Miller.
Yeah.
Mueller.
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 Yeah, Mueller.
Mueller.
Captain.
And so
Mueller.
old man Whipple goes to squeeze the Charmin, and he goes to burn the scroll, but he doesn't. He gets he gets attacked, remotely.
Magically.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
by Ardeth Bay with his little hand motions
In
and
the
squeezing
Dumbledore.
the heart.
He's in the Dumbledore pensive.
And then the Nubian plays an important role. He comes and switches out the scroll for some newspaper.
He's suddenly an
That's
important
right.
role. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. That greased up Nubian looking all good
Right.
with no shirt on.
Right. So when the other
Scale of
folks
1 to
come,
5, 1932. He's a 5. Nubian's a 5.
when the other folks come, they think the scroll
a
has been
Nubian?
burned.
The scroll. They think the scroll has already been burned. You said
They believe the scroll's been
Okay.
burned, but it's actually been switched out by
this is the scene of this is the area of the movie
you
that
fell asleep?
I kept having to watch over again,
Wow.
and I was like doing it like with this thing going on, like so like this is all a little fuzzy. But then I do get when we get to the point where they mummify him in the flashback.
Yeah.
That was pretty terrifying because he was definitely not cool with that.
All right, so
And then they bury him alive.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. What I was saying earlier, where they had scraped off some of the spells on the inside of the sarcophagus. So here they have. This is pretty amazing in a history standpoint. So they put him in the sarcophagus, and they're chipping away at the outside of the sarcophagus to make sure that no one knows who he is. So they're taking off all the gold, all the gems, everything that was built around this thing, and they're hacking away at this thing. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
I was wondering what that was for. I was wondering if it was just maybe because there was jewels on it they didn't want to bury with him.
No. No one is supposed to know who this guy is.
Right.
Ever.
You can be identified by the outside of the sarcophagus.
Right.
Okay, all right.
And they're just chopping away at him. Not only was it historically accurate to a certain degree, it's also really cool in the scene. They're just banging away at this thing and like, fuck this guy. Fuck him. Drop him dead.
You know, it wasn't so cool was how
Which is exactly what they would have yelled in ancient Egypt.
Yeah. Fuck him. Fuck him.
it's on the back.
Fuck you. Anubis don't want you either.
It's on the back of the pyramids. Fucking dead.
Yeah.
In English. Because,
In English,
because they spoke English.
But what I really got into with the backstory was the whole thing with, however we're going to pronounce her name, Anaxunamun or Anak Susamun. She's not who you think she is. She's the priest of Isis,
Right.
who this guy has fallen in love with, and she, as a priestess of Isis, is like completely opposed to what he wants to do with her.
Right.
That's a hell of a story. It's like two counter opposing viewpoints crashing into each other, and he's still trying to force it.
Right.
4,000 years after the fact.
Yeah, and it's not until she remembers.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if we're getting to the end.
Right.
yet.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
this,
we kinda
this is
are
where
at
it's
this point, yeah.
all the best story is.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
is.
within these flashbacks.
She
That
finally
backstory
remembers
was-
what she is and she calls Isis to
Right.
fucking zap
Right.
him with the magic.
'Cause she-
ankh.
So
she shows
now
up there.
you're calling upon the gods to do this kind of thing. These Egyptian gods that are just really into it, and it's so fucking awesome.
Yep.
It's a great story.
Yeah, so she calls on Isis, who has Vinnie Vincent from Kiss's
I was
makeup.
gonna say.
Because Vinnie Vincent from Kiss's makeup in his hand, and just zaps Emotep with the Vinnie Vincent makeup, and that's it. He turns into some bones.
And
What do you think
and
when they
poof.
had that meeting at the Kiss, like when they brought Vinnie Vincent in and they said, "Look, okay, so
It's 1932, Vinny.
no, like when they said, okay, we obviously
time travel.
Paul Starman, I'm the demon.
Yeah,
Eric took over for the cat. He's the fox.
yeah.
You got to come up with 10 ideas. And at what point do you think they just gave up and said, okay, the Ankh is cool, fine?
Yeah.
You know, like what were the rejected ones? Like fucking fireworks? No, that's
Wasn't he supposed to be at Terrificon 2 years ago?
yeah, Terrificon, or was it CT Horror Fest?
No,
Terrificon, because he's from
well, actually,
from Bridgeport.
His people reached out to us.
Okay.
but we were like, because he's supposedly fucking Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
he's Looney. He's
He,
Looney
he,
Tunes.
he
We were
didn't
like,
appear
we
at
don't.
Terrificon.
Well, he did one album, I think, and it was Lick It Up, I think. I could be wrong.
With Kiss, he did two.
Two, because he did one of the makeup and one not. Right,
Without,
right.
Lick it up. I
And
wanna
then the
hear that
Vinnie
on
Vincent
my ride
Invasion
home
was actually
tonight.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Vinnie
yeah.
Vincent
that was
Invasion
the
was
band
good.
that Slaughter picked up off of. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's a good question though. What were the rejected Vinnie Vincent makeups? Like,
He's like,
if the Ankh was the winner, like what?
I
get a star on the other eye.
Yeah, a star in the
Star
other
of
eye.
David.
No, that's not going to work.
Wow.
like just a mustache, like just like all white face, but with like a,
Yeah.
like a mustache.
Just a big mustache.
How the mummy just goes into this is just
A mind.
I'm going to have a fork across one half of my eye, a spoon on the other, and a knife up the side, and I'm going to be called the cutlerist. They're like, can we kick this fucking guy out of the band, Gene?
Whose idea was
Bad
this
idea.
fucking guy?
Vinnie Vincent.
That's why they took off the makeup. They were like, I can't look at this fucking
Yeah,
thing
right,
anymore.
right.
No.
That's it. Everybody lose the makeup.
I know it's been 20 years, but let's just fucking walk around in our tight jeans.
I know
and
we're
fucking-
ugly as fuck.
Yeah.
But let's.
Oh, man.
That is an ugly fucking.
That is
band.
an ugly band.
Holy
That is an ugly
shit.
band.
aren't they? Oh.
That
When Paul Stanley's the pretty boy, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When Paul Stanley is the hot one,
he's like missing a whole ear.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking mess.
Ace Frehley looks like a leather bag with facial hair. Like, it's just not good.
Yeah, I think Peter Criss is like the best looking dude in that band.
Yeah.
And he's like 4'1".
Yeah, Peter Criss is.
Yeah.
He's living under a bridge in New York.
Yeah.
It's actually funny we're having this conversation because it'll be much longer whenever this is out. But tomorrow night they're playing at the.
They are.
They're playing at Mohegan.
Mohegan
right?
for their final tour,
Yeah.
which I won't believe it until I see it.
I
but-
would much rather
Right after his CT Gamer.
I would much rather go see like a screening of Runaway with Gene Simmons.
I
and Tom
love
Selleck.
that movie.
Give the templates, Ramsey.
Jesus
I saw that.
He
I
knows
watched it.
lines from the movie.
I watched it about 4 months ago on Amazon
the
Prime.
templates,
Love that
Ramsey.
movie.
Well, I have to say this. I watched this Mummy movie not more than 2 years ago.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of the Mummy overall.
Yeah.
It was always my favorite of the Universal characters. So
I think it's kind of fitting that we kind of stop talking about the
I know-
Mummy.
well, that's what-
like
and
that.
that's why I'm going right back into
No, because the movie
That's how it ends.
ends like
oh no,
that.
it's
really
a
does.
dead. Drop
Skull-
that curtain. You're
Skull on the
done.
floor,
Yeah.
and then there's the little fucking plane flying
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually,
Oh no, I have to ask you about that. So is this the first movie that had
think
the
so.
plane flying around
It
the
is
planet?
the first.
It is.
I don't know if it's the first one they did for
Well, I mean,
Universal.
for the
In this, it was
for
yes.
the monster
first
series,
Universal
yeah.
movie that had the old
Okay.
Universal logo with the plane going around. Yes,
it's
yeah. As soon as I saw that, I went. I don't think they did that in the other two.
I couldn't remember in Frankenstein. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So, but it's
No.
going all the way
no,
around.
Frankenstein
the planet.
was just the
Just
Universal,
the Universal
logo.
Yeah.
logo.
of the-
Okay.
So
I like
this
the
was the
plane
first
going
one with the
around.
plane.
It's-
So yeah, as abrupt as us stop
I think we
talking
should
about
just
it
stop.
was exactly how the
Just
movie ended.
How it ends. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually a perfect stoppage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
She ends him, and the movie just goes. And you get that little orchestra, and you go to the end.
And there was a.
if you can
I think
hear
there was a
like
credit
brakes,
list.
if you can
Yeah.
hear brakes squealing,
Right.
it's exactly how it ends.
It's such a slap to the face. Like, oh, the movie's over. You're out.
Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here.
Thanks for your money for your
I can
hour
just-
and 10 minutes.
I can just picture that that happens. The fucking plane and the lights come on right in the theater. It's at everybody out.
Everybody out, get out.
Yeah, because there's no long credits. You're not waiting for the Marvel
No.
fucking Stan Lee.
There's
Fucking
no
some
17,000
special
producer credits.
right.
You know.
They're not waiting for Deadpool to come out at the end and tease something. It's just fucking over.
The mid-credit scene where Ardeth Bay is like hanging out with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
He's doing a dance.
Right.
I would like to be part of your team.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is
Nick
this?
Fury is recruiting fucking Peyton Manning for something. With Vinnie Vincent. Like Vinnie Vincent's there.
I really like to
There's
throw,
our Mummy movie right there.
I really like to
Vinnie
throw the
Vincent,
football.
Peyton Manning.
Vinnie Vincent's got a fucking sign around his neck that says, "We'll play guitar for food."
Oh man,
Poor
oh,
Vinnie Vincent.
God.
We love you, Vinny.
Yay, Vinny.
I like the Mummy.
Bridgeport,
I
Connecticut.
do. Okay, so we'll go around real quick. Lloyd, Mummy, better than the first two. Where do you put it in the path so far?
I love the Mummy story.
Yeah.
It's not horror like we said. It's a love story, but it's a good story. So I put it above
I
Dracula,
don't even
right
call
under Frankenstein.
All right.
I don't even call it a love story. I really don't. It's
Well, because you have no heart.
This is true.
it's a one-sided love story though.
It is. You're right.
Yeah, it's unrequited love if you want to put it that way.
Sure.
Yep.
As a story itself, it's great. And what I like about watching it again, it makes me enjoy the Brendan Fraser version of the Mummy that much more.
I do want to watch that. I haven't seen it in a while.
Because what happens in the Brendan Fraser movie takes all the elements of this movie.
And adds in horrible CGI.
True.
Yeah,
The
there
but the CGI for the time was really good.
Yeah.
We love that CGI. Then it doesn't hold up anymore.
No, it's
But
bad.
no
but
Boris Karloff, but we get Arnold Vosloo.
and the point is, you're making the Mummy a much more terrifying character.
You get Rachel Weisz.
You get Rachel Weisz, and you also get Brendan Fraser playing a character that's no one has ever played before. Kind of a mid-grade hero, but he's a reluctant hero that's still going to do the right thing. He was good at it.
That movie was great.
All right, so let me tell you something. So you've got all the names from the movie from this Mummy movie in the Brendan Fraser movie. So you've got all the Muellers, the Ardeth Bay. They're all different characters or whatever. Anck-su-namun, different relation of Imhotep. The story is still there. The basic story is still there, including mentions of the white cat. They mention a white cat at some point. And the white cat is such a big thing in the Brendan Fraser movie.
Because the mummy was afraid of the cat, right?
The mummy was totally afraid of the cat.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he used the cat at least twice.
He holds him off with the cat. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of the best damn effects I've ever seen in a movie. But that and the fact that Brendan Fraser, his character, is not terrified of this mummy. Doesn't want to deal with it, but he's not terrified of it.
Right.
It's
I'm always surprised by the stuff you really like.
I don't know why.
I'm kind of at a loss right now.
I do enjoy that movie, but like
It's
you're
not,
like
again, it's not a horror movie. It's like it's
not
an
at all.
adventure movie with horror elements. Yeah. People are being drained
You
of
even-
their bodies.
But what's fucking bashing my head apart
What?
is you just told me how much you don't like Silence of the Lambs, yet you're waxing poetic about the Mummy. With
because it's
Brendan Fraser.
entertaining, while Silence of the Lambs draws my fucking brain to dead areas.
he even likes the second Mummy movie.
Ooh,
I do.
all right.
I do. Now, the third one, not so much.
Third one
I
was
actually-
the Scorpion King, right?
No, the third one was
No, the
many. They did a third one many years later with no Rachel Weisz.
Rachel
It's
Weisz.
Oh, that's pointless.
Yes, exactly.
yeah. They replaced her. They didn't. It wasn't
Oh,
the
right.
same. What's her name?
I don't know. It was awful.
Anaxunamun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bad mummy in that one is Jet Li.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
It takes place in China.
It's in China.
It's not good.
What's happening?
It's not good.
It's not
It was one of
good.
those sequels where like the Mummy came out like say in '99 and then 2001 and then this one was 2010.
Right.
It was like way too
Was
late.
Brendan Fraser in it?
Yes.
Oh, what a shit.
Brendan Fraser, the guy who played the his brother-in-law, John Hannah,
Oh, John
is in
Hannah.
it.
John Hannah was
it's like
great.
they got a lot of the people back from it, and I can't remember who the fuck played.
But you have to look at it this way: if it wasn't for the original Mummy movie,
yeah,
the Universal Mummy, you wouldn't have these Brendan Fraser movies.
no,
So,
No, you're
especially
right.
because they basically lifted the entire story from this particular movie that we're talking about to make that movie.
I bet you if you watch the '99 Mummy, it probably has a credit for characters created
Oh,
by.
I doubt it.
Well, if they use a lot of the characters
No,
from it.
it's the same company. So
No, you're right. Yeah, it
They
was
don't give a
Universal.
shit.
Yeah, you're right. All right, Larry, where does this fall in your kind of spectrum of these movies?
Out of the three we watched?
Out of the three we watch, and where would you put it in terms of like all of them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to rank it, but would you say this is one of your more favorites, or would you say it's more on the other end?
It's on the other end.
On the other end.
I prefer Frankenstein and Dracula to the Mummy. I've never been overly. I remember now. I know why I haven't watched it in 20-something years.
Yeah. Would you attempt to make your kids watch this one?
I don't. They did last night. They watched a little bit of it.
Did they
last
really?
night.
it's not terrifying. So it's
Yeah, and they were bored.
bored.
Yeah, they just took
if
off.
I was,
Which I don't
their
get.
age-
I get that.
Yeah.
Even if it's a good movie, if it's not action packed, they're gonna bolt.
Yeah.
Even at their age when it was playing on the 4 o'clock movie,
Yeah.
you'd be getting commercials, and you're like, I'm more interested in the commercials than I am the movie. So
I'm totally interested in talking to my mom next time I see her. Because again, this was always the one she always told me. I remember, because my mom of her age, this was something she watched as a kid, and she always said that the Mummy terrified her the most. And now I'm like, what? it's an old guy in a fez.
Deathbed.
I honestly,
A very slow
Don't-
old guy.
Don't touch me.
the one thing I come away with this is having never seen this movie is I cannot believe that the famous like visage of the Mummy that we all know that Larry's got the figure of right there is not even in this fucking movie really.
Yeah.
The cover, right, Lloyd? I gave you that the single DVD I had gotten. The cover is a great Alex Ross.
a great cover,
and
yeah.
it's him like barreling at the.
And
It's
none of
never
that-
ever
no,
in the damn
no,
thing.
it doesn't
You saw the
happen.
painting I have in my house from my friend Phil.
Yes, that was-
And it's a painting of him in the wraps.
Yeah.
It's not him in a fez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that's the famous
There's a-
mummy that you see, but he's in the movie for like 12 seconds.
Dark Horse did a series of adaptations of these Universal movies at one point. They were square bound stuff, and I think Tim Bradstreet did the cover of the Mummy, and it's just him in the sarcophagus, all wrapped up, just like you see him
Right.
in that one big scene, and it's pretty cool looking. But overall, it's not a terrifying movie at all.
No.
Not other than Mr. can't handle the fact that someone just walked out of a sarcophagus after 3,700 years.
That was weird.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with this
I
one.
read the Scroll of Thoth, so
I'm going to be with this one under Frankenstein, but over Dracula for me. Just movie wise, I think that this one had a lot of great production value,
Yeah.
good story. It's just in no way, shape, or form scary.
Not bad for being filmed in the Nevada desert.
Yeah, California and Nevada, right. They did a pretty good job. And there was no out-of-place characters in this movie like Baron von Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Oh, those stooges. Like,
I fucking love that guy, man.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. I mean, so you've got a guy in this movie too. Again, that's every time he says an S, he whistles. You
fixate on weird shit.
It's fucking weird. I watch these movies back to back, so all of a sudden these characters are whistling their freaking S's every 5 seconds.
You know what they're doing back then? They're going, let's fuck with Johnson in about 100 years.
Johnson.
I want you to whistle your dialogue, Kyle.
I wish I could whistle my S's. I can't do it, but...
All right, so we're going to take about a month off because Larry's got a pretty busy month of April, although by the time you hear this, April might be over. But
Probably.
in May, we're going to come back strong and do a couple more episodes. I think the next 2 will be Bride and Invisible.
Invisible Man and Bride.
Invisible Man, I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to Invisible Man
Bride,
big time. And Bride. I'm looking forward to both. Lloyd, you looking forward to those?
Yeah, I haven't seen either. Well, I saw Invisible. Yeah, I've never seen Bride.
Okay, I've
We're
never
going to
seen
watch
either.
the Chevy Chase Invisible Man, right?
Oh, the John directed by? Directed by?
Peyton Manning.
No.
No.
No. John, you know that, right?
I don't remember.
Chevy Chase's Invisible Man.
Directed by?
I don't remember.
Right, man.
John Carpenter.
Oh, was it really?
John Carpenter, yeah, oh yeah.
I don't remember.
Trust me, look it up, IMDb it. Oh, or don't.
Oh, yeah, IMDb. That's bullshit.
All right. This has been Pint of Comics, Scary Larry's House of Universal Horrors. Lloyd, what do you do to get us out of here?
See ya.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
Man, that guy is like Mr.
Oh yeah,
50s.
yeah. No, he's not a super hip guy.
No,
Really nice guy.
No Adam and the Ants.
Oh,
he would know him. They probably know him, but
goody two, goody two shoes.
whatever happened to Adam, man?
Don't
Anyway.
drink, don't smoke.
What do you do? Don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do? Sudden innuendos follow. Must be something inside. Ouch.